Stardate 2015.301 at 22:06 Eastern Standard Time. I'm joined here tonight by our Chief Logistics Officer, Captain Timberwolf. Lead us off with a good howl, good sir. I love it. I love it. I love it. Our Chief Intelligence Officer, Captain Sarcasm Detector.
Hi.
Oh, we got him the good gravel this week. Yes, we did.
Show of us.
Our Chief Cheesy Tactics, Captain SOB.
Hello.
I hear Season 11 is being really good to you so far.
Oh, yes, it is.
Our Chief Ironic Medic and Captain of the Ground Squad, Captain MK.
Life's a breach and then you mind trap.
You know it. You know it. Our Chief Emergency Role-Playing Hologram.
Please state the nature of your emergency.
Glad to see you back, man.
Yes.
The projectors are working properly. I knew I'd get it fixed.
Ah, yeah. So, gentlemen, quick quip. Season 11. Few words. Lay it out.
Hey, not that many bugs, actually. Pretty good.
Really enjoying not just the new ships, but the new mission. Fantastic job on the graphics.
Yeah, the Badlands is pretty BA.
Lots of power, lots of cheese. A very good season.
Yep.
I'm liking it for the brief moments I actually had to play. I'm liking it so far. I want to see what's coming out as far as torpedo powers are concerned.
Tons of new rep, man. Something to check out there.
We're hearing
It's
it.
amazing.
Kinetic community is excited.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
excited.
Science, shields, all kinds of fun stuff. Boost torps now.
All right. So for those who haven't figured it out yet or just listening in but haven't logged into the game for some strange reason, New Dawn's been giving a lot of giveaways. So log in now and get them while it's still hot. So what's the big excitement of all the giveaways that we had so far, folks?
I guess it's...
Probably I don't know, the upgrade token was pretty nice, actually.
I mean, they gave away the big ones, honestly, besides the inventory slots. They gave away 2 spec points per character. That, for a lot of people, is a very good giveaway. An upgrade token, and then a free Tier 5, which, you know...
A free Tier 5 for each faction.
For each faction, and that's not... For what they gave away, there's some good options.
Absolutely. Throw that upgrade token at one of the ships that you've got, and you've got an extremely viable platform full free.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the first T5 ship that they've given away for one of each faction?
I certainly believe that this is the... Is this not the first T5 ship they've given away in general? I remember getting some...
believe so.
They've given...
The last time they gave away a free Tier 5 that I recall was during the 3rd anniversary event, where they gave away a Tier 5 Ambassador and Comrade.
Ah, yes, the Temporal Ambassador.
Other than
Pretty
that...
sure that at one point, yeah, they gave away Nebula in one of the giveaways.
Yeah, I was about to say the
Ah,
Nebula
right.
was given away at one point.
Okay.
And one of the KDF T5s. I forget
Is
which.
the Anniversary Audi technically a T5?
That's true.
That is true.
That's years ago, so there. Well, I mean, this is still... I mean, let's not discount... This is still very generous.
Either way, though, I mean, some people are liking it a lot. One question I did have, though, does the upgrade token give you a different ship as far as the Admiralty system is concerned?
As far as I understand, you can only have... They explain it as you can only have one ship from each quote-unquote class in the Admiralty. And so if you upgrade it, I would think that the token might upgrade, but you probably wouldn't get 2 ships out of it. Correct me if I'm wrong on this.
No, it's-
Correct. The U upgrade is not considered a separate ship.
But the fleet version, and if it has a mirror version,
Yeah,
those are
but
separate entities.
I think it ranks from mirror to like T5 to fleet, if I remember correctly,
I believe so.
in terms of rarity.
All right. Well, we will be moving on from that. What else do we have coming down the pipeline here? What's this about the design your ship portion? Are we moving on to the next phase right now?
Omega.
There are some upset folks out there.
Yeah, a lot, but still,
it's a polarizing design. You know, just to say something fairly PC about it, it's polarizing. Some people like it, others do not. But I will find it interesting to see where the frigate pets launch from, if it's really from the sides.
I just hope everybody's happy that they're finally getting their Jupiter class and shut up about it.
Pretty much.
I hate that ship so much. It's so ugly. I'm sorry.
But so is the Typhoon, and I sure miss calling that in fleet support.
The hope is that a lot of players are saying is that they hope that even though Omega won, that maybe the top 3 overall, those designs become
Could be skins on
the skins.
Yeah.
So you can mix and match skins on the starship.
If
now
it's
that would be
viable
nice.
if it's viable to that level of development, I'm sure they'll try.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold judgment though. See what happens in the next rounds of.
I know there's a lot of intense work regarding, just getting the different nacelles, the different pieces to all fit together.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's much more work than it is to skin a single ship to make sure that all the various pieces work together. So it's a lot of work.
I am a sad panda that Gamma didn't win. I think when this first came out, I was saying that I thought a lot of people would actually gravitate towards the Gamma because it had more of the traditional Starfleet look to it. Like it had like the saucer, the hull, kind of like the Excelsior / Ambassador.
Yeah, you might argue that that's a backward step in the design language, but
I'm a little surprised that it didn't make it as far. But even though Omega won, and I know a lot of people are happy about it, I still think that the initiative that they're doing with this is really great, getting the community involved and voting on what will actually be implemented as part of the ship design. So the system as itself is awesome. I like it a lot.
Absolutely. I think we all hope that they expand on it further so we can be more involved in the customization of the next one coming down the pipeline.
I still believe that the Alpha and the Omega are pretty much almost identical. I think the only difference between them was the pod on the top, plus some minor details. I don't think those two ships should have been individual entries into the competition itself.
I'm kind of with you on that, but I also have a different slant on it. But again, I stated my bias so many times, I'm sick of myself saying it. So other than that is, go Sigma, waiting for you on the next iteration. Enough said.
Bring back beta. Bring back beta. Hashtag bring back beta.
Alright, you start your own hashtag, I'll start mine, okay?
I think we need to do a wild card run.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that would be awesome.
They should have done that from the beginning. I'm sorry, they should have done that from the beginning. They should have.
Well, this is the first time, and we always knock out the kinks the first go around. So.
Yeah, my only suggestion, like, if they go forward with this for like the Romulans and the Klingons, is probably go more with like a round robin type system, where it's like if it gets voted out, it's not necessarily all doom and gloom for that one particular thing. Like, it still has a shot to like really come back. Maybe keep the system that's in place now, but maybe the one that was like the closest gets the wild card spot or something like that. I don't know, but we will see.
Speaking of ships, what's this with the new lockbox ships? Well, pretty much the entire Herald thing. Scoop on this.
I actually.
Somebody get him a towel.
Before you, I'll let the wolf clean up his drool there. One of the funny theories of why the breach is missing, and we'll get to this later on, is that the Iconian ships is too big to get through the whole of the ship to go in and do the interior map part.
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny, but I don't think so. The hole is big enough. I mean, you can fit a Shishar in there, and the Shishar is...
The hole is big enough, and if it's not, Cam's going to make it big enough.
Yeah, it's a funny theory, though. It actually made me think for a second. I'm like, You know, that it is kind of close quarters in there, but nah, whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
going
the
on,
spikes have people keep their distance.
well, going on the Herald ships, they have been interesting to test. A lot of us have gotten at least 2 of them. I'm already in love with the Quas. It flies with what I've been using very similarly to my Odyssey. And I did a pug run earlier today to test it for a review, and it did 60K. It actually inspired Spencer, I will say this aloud, to buy one and then name it the Blame Timber. I am quite proud of that achievement.
The Blame Timber. Really?
Interesting.
I am
Really?
proud of that because
Yeah.
not only did he name it after me, he also parsed over 100K with it. So I feel honored.
Oh, the Blame Timber. Okay.
It's the best part of flattery.
And that
We'll
was
work
in
with
a
that.
pug run, so with a pre-made team.
All right, so
Higher.
Chief of Cheesy Tactics, how did you cheese the heck out of this ship?
I spun in circles and spammed F and spacebar. No,
But we know you do that on a regular basis. But seriously,
just eight
Everyone
beams.
knows your keybinds. Come on.
Just 8 beams.
all right. So pretty much it's a 4-4. So you broadsided like crazy, and it just went all sorts of high and mighty DPS there. But
Yes.
but how do you like the ship layout?
Not that much of a fan of the Quas layout, but that Vamp Dread, that's gonna be just nasty.
Let's stick with this one here first, and we'll move on to that one here shortly.
This is a pretty interesting ship. It's I see it as a hybrid between the Atlas dreadnought and the Arbiter battlecruiser. It itself is not either a battlecruiser or a dreadnought. It's a flight deck cruiser, so it's going to be missing the weapon efficiency command aura, which is a real damn shame. I just love that command aura. It's really, really useful. It does have the shield and the attract fire, so it's going to be good for a tanker in that regards. But the bridge officer layout is almost identical to the Arbiter, while the console layouts are pretty much identical to the Atlas Dreadnought. It's got a fairly decent turn rate and move speed. It does have the one hangar bay, which can fit the frigates. It also has the 1.3 shield modifier, so it's got a lot of shields. The hull is a little bit on the low side for a cruiser. Not that much. I guess the shield makes up for that. Got one of the highest shield modifiers for a cruiser. Overall, it's a fairly decent ship, and really there are no bad ships. You can do DPS with it, although you're not going to be getting the full max DPS that you would expect from a dreadnought or a battle cruiser. It'll still be fairly decent, and it should be a hell of a tanker as well. On top of that, might be really good for a support ship or a heel boat as well. But I'll leave that to Mikey to delve more deep into that.
I haven't looked at it yet, but definitely something I'll check out in that case.
Now, a question for you guys who have that ship and the Krenim time ship. Which one would you say is more superior? Because it's sounding like this Iconian ship is pretty badass.
It's sure going for about the same price, roughly, as the time ship was. I don't know if it still is.
No, not price-wise. Performance-wise, like how it does in battle. Because I'm hearing a lot of good things about these Iconian ships so far.
We haven't quite gotten to the Vamp yet.
But the Quas is doing fairly well. It really is. It's got a lot of potential there. The build that I did my 60K in the Pug run, it still had 16K shields and a 75K hull, and didn't have really any issues as far as going. I don't even think I went below 80% hull during that run. I'd have to look. but I was also at the top of the parse, so it had a good damage output and it had good survivability, so it was a nice mix for me.
Well, I'm sorry, I muted myself, didn't realize it here, but what do you guys think about the actual console and the trait itself?
The trait I see is something that our buddy Tankia is going to play with a lot.
Yeah, the self-heals are just going to be nasty.
Might be nice to see if it can out-regen the Borg Tachyon Vim.
Although I don't see it doing terribly well with the Terrans unless you have some sort of way to reduce or eliminate the subsystem downtime, because a lot of those phaser procs are just going to knock off shields, engines, etc. So unless you have a way of quickly bringing up shields, any of your subsystems...
not necessarily shields, but you could always run human bridge officers, leadership.
This is true. This is very true.
They're cheap as bars, so that might be a good tactic against the Terran specifically, is just to slot a bunch of humans.
I'd say just slot the Ico shield, and that's got the hot restart on it.
The proc itself, the phaser proc, doesn't last that long anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, what, half a second, a second? It's very, very, very short. And, if desperate, put in a engineering team.
I thought it was 2 seconds that it was down for, but okay. Let's see what's going on with this. But as far as the console,
does that not depend on sub-repairers at a fixed proc length?
That's a good question.
Yes, it does. The subsystem repairers does modify that.
That's what I thought on the phaser proc.
True. What about the consoles? Anybody tested that one out yet? Or was it kind of a meh console at this point?
The Quas console I haven't tested. Stats on it are pretty good, though.
The passive stats?
Yeah, let me find it here. It's plus 11.2% maximum shield capacity and plus 22.5% to shield heals is the passive.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty damn intensive. That'll be nice for, especially with the Starship trait itself.
Yeah, very good for a tank.
Very. Especially shield tanking like that. Now we get to go on to the Heavy Raider, because there has been a lot of comments on it right now. People are worrying about the weapon loadout, and it feels a little bit unusual for some folks, but I think that this one is more or less built for one purpose and one purpose only. Deliver as much DPS as possible up front, as quickly as possible. Get the hell out of the way. I think they
arguably using Raider flanking to do it.
Exactly.
The nice thing here is the console on the Raider is sort of similar to the subspace jump one. It'll put you into flanking position, and then it gives you a 35% Cat 2 damage buff on top of that for 15 seconds.
Now, is that worth any of the other consoles that you could potentially slot in its place, or should you probably just get a Delta Core and use that for the subspace jump?
Wait, just a sec. Did you say it gives you an additional 33% Cat 2 bonus when you do use
the console? Yes, when you activate it for 15 seconds after it teleports you right behind the target, 3 kilometers behind. To self plus 35% all damage for 15 seconds. To self
that's in
plus
addition
5%.
to the flanking bonus.
Yep.
To self plus 5% critical chance for 15 seconds.
critical chance as well?
Yeah.
It's a nice console.
Okay, that's
Yes.
freaking power creep right there.
The console passive.
Jeez.
The console passive plus 25% cannon damage. I haven't checked, but I'm guessing that's Cat 1. And then plus 1% critical chance. That's the passive.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that is
Worth it.
spectacular. The ship itself has a enhanced Raider flanking, so it's not the normal Raider flanking, which is in PvE, I believe, is like 25%. This has a 33% Raider flanking. So that's what, 33% plus 35% plus the 1% passive plus the whatever crit chance you just mentioned on top of that. That is spectacular. This thing is going to be a spectacular spiker.
It is. It's amazing for Spike.
And someone in chat has asked what kind of torpedo monster Odinite could make it.
I don't know. I mean, if we're talking just straight out, this is going to be a one-hit wonder type of weapon, then nasty is the type of torpedo monster that's going to be. I think it's going to be the key word for tonight, nasty, because this is going to be stupidly nasty. Versus players plus 11% damage when attacking a player's enemy rear arc if PvP ever comes back in something that resembles life, that's still going to hurt very much. But as far as NPCs are concerned, yeah, an extra 33% damage. Yeah. I don't know. I might actually make this like a hybrid cannon torque boat just for this.
Plus, you add in intel flanking and intel fleet.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking the Delta Ordnance will be the nice one on this one here.
I know what I want for my birthday.
So this ship is the first Tier 6 raider we've gotten so far. We haven't had one before. People have been asking, the Klingons have been asking for a Tier 6 bird of prey for a long time. We still haven't got the Tier 6 bird of prey.
Yeah. Well, arguably a T6 bird of prey is going to have the universals, which this doesn't have. But,
This does have the universals. This is
two of
Just-
them.
Just
Oh, wow,
one
it does.
commander tactical, but everything
No.
else is universal.
Oh, wow. I didn't even spot that on the bump. Whoa.
Dude, it's right there, buddy. Right there. Right there.
It's really tiny on my screen right now.
Commander Tactical.
I sense a new Ox the Batman mobile.
No.
No.
Ox the Batman and SR Robin.
Actually, I did put Ox the Bat on this ship, and it performed quite well.
Nice.
Oh!
Ox the Bat still works.
No.
I don't understand why you would even do that. The ship doesn't actually need it. It's got the Commando Tactical, an Ensign Universal, Lieutenant Universal, Lieutenant Commander Universal, and then another Lieutenant Commander Universal. The Lieutenant Universal.
This is the T6 Bop the KDF wanted, basically.
Only thing it's missing.
And everything but aesthetic.
Yeah.
Well, what would you actually put in as far as intel on the Lieutenant Commander Universal intel seating?
I had only OSS 3 on it.
Yeah, OSS, absolutely.
Wait, no.
If you're building for anti-Terran too, you've got the subsystem disable resist.
There's the Surgical Strike 1 in there. That would be quite spectacular with the bonuses this thing has.
OSS, SS.
Since you're talking about Spike, absolutely, Ken. That works.
Because this is
So-
a Spiker build.
So if we want to do like a hybrid, if we want to do a hybrid build off of this, Lieutenant Commander Universal Intel will probably have OSS 3, Surgical Strike 2, and then whatever you want for the Ensign seat. Then Commander Tactical, you will have APO 3. You probably have a High Yield 3, and then go from there. Get some cannon powers thrown in there somewhere, and then you have one engineering and one science ability, and you're done.
That is nasty.
That would be very nasty. That is going to be your Alpha and Omega. Alpha with the cannons and Omega with the torpedo.
And I will state that just when I was testing it as stock, with just its standard turn modifier and your pilot tree, the thing has a turn radius of a Borg sphere, as in the ship itself. This thing can nearly turn on a dime stock, so when it's fully decked out, it could probably do the, what is it called, the Death Blossom from The Last Starfighter instantaneously.
No!
This ship is honestly, once it's decked out, it is capable of that level of turn rate, and it is very fast. So it's a hit-and-run spiker for sure.
What is it that Tony Stark said in one of the movies? I need it, want it, get it.
I think I need to see this thing now. Like, actually get one. This is sad. I actually might want one now. Oh, okay. All right. What about the console itself on this thing?
Well,
we just
Spencer-
talked about. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the.
Spencer's
That's right.
Yeah, we
That's
talked
right.
about it a little bit.
The
it's been
console
okay.
is amazing cheese, and I love it.
Total cheese. The trait is even a little cheesy. Since
It
it
is.
synergizes what the Belpin does best. So
Yeah, small shield heal. So that's a little bit of a defensive bit to it. I was thinking something a bit more offensive with this.
it's got enough.
No,
got enough offense.
no, you can never have enough offensive
Well,
firepower.
the thing with this,
Sure, so other traits at it.
I'm not sure if anybody else has tested it yet. It's something I'm going to test tonight. Is whether the trait waylay has to do with firing cycle or just one individual firing of a beam. Because if it goes off of each individual beam, especially on a FAW boat, then you're stacking multiple small shield regen heals at the same time in things where you've got a lot of targets to flank, such as ISA or Hive, where there's a lot of options. If it works the way I'm thinking, it's a lot of shield heals instantly, because it's either going to be proccing per shot, or if it procs per cycle, it's not going to be that great.
If
What
it's
I
per
heard,
shot, it's a Valdor. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
What I heard, it might be per shot. I think Falk was saying that earlier.
Yeah, if it procs per
Mhm.
shot, it's basically a Valdor console and a trait. And
That
if that's
is
the case,
disgusting.
if that's the case, then that trait would be great on low shield boats that are putting out a lot of DPS, because they can make up for a lot of lacking
Anything
in
that
the shield
fights the
heals.
board that's gonna help out with.
Yeah,
I'm
That
gonna go
is
test it right now.
disgusting. I'm sorry, that is utterly disgusting, especially if it's per shot. I mean, I get it. You want to add a little bit of defense to this thing, but oh no.
It makes it so you free up your bridge officer slots for, more offensive stuff. I mean, like I said, it is cheese, but it's great.
It's a lot of cheese. That is, and there's no cooldown on this thing.
no, it is. It's literally if it's every shot, it's literally every shot gives you that shield heal with 0 cooldown. So that is an amazing trait.
No walkout. That's known. That
Yeah,
I know of.
Yeah, it is. It's working as an amazing trait, so it's a really, really good thing to have.
So if we're going to do a cannon build for this one, then you're probably better off running DCs, not DHCs, for more shots within a specific time period, and then that'll keep the trait active.
Could be.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna get a little crazy. Let's just move on to the next ship before my mind blows up on that one again. The Vamp with the PH on there. So what do you guys think about this dreadnought? I've seen some people use it in the brief time that I was online, and they claim a lot of stupidness, like, oh, I can't die because I can heal myself and kill things really quickly.
I know Spencer's going to have a lot for the DPS side of it, but I do know that our buddy Tankia, who is our resident mega healer, he is getting 17k heals per second out of this boat now. So he's almost got he's going to the point where he'll have 20k heals in an ISA run, probably a little bit less than that in a hive space out of this particular ship.
The word is how.
He will not divulge all of his
Part
Gs.
of it is science, CBC trait, and tachyon beam. I can almost promise you. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah, but suffice to say, he knows how to heal very well, and this is his new ship. He came out of his old healing ship for this one, and I don't think he's going back.
So just looking at this ship, it's a dreadnought carrier, which puts it in the same class as the Narcine and the Jem'Hadar dreadnought carrier. So it's not a cruiser. You can think of it as a really large escort with 2 hangar bays. Unfortunately, this one is actually a little bit slower than the Narcine. It doesn't turn quite as fast. It has about the same turn rate as the Jem'Hadar dreadnought cruiser. Might actually be a little bit slower than that. It does have 4-3 weapons, a significant shield modifier, thank you Odin, 1.225, which is pretty decent. A huge crew, 3,000, which is really not that good. A decent amount of hull, but it's actually getting up there. Might actually be more than the Dreadnought Cruiser or the Narcine. I'm going to have to actually go back and check that out. The console layout is really good. 4 tactical, 3 engineering, and 4 science, which would put it a little bit ahead of the Narcine and the Jem'Hadar, which have identical console layouts.
Nice and flexible too.
Yeah, those have 3 science and 4 engineering. This here has the opposite, 3 engineering, 4 science. The bridge officer station, certainly very interesting, very similar to what the other ships have. Commander tactical, of course, like I said, they're the tactical ship types. The lieutenant engineering intel, lieutenant commander science, very nice. 1 ensign universal and a lieutenant commander universal, which doubles as command. Personally, I would probably, in this case, run the ensign as an engineer and the lieutenant commander as a tactical, just to have a commander lieutenant commander tactical. But it's entirely possible to run it as an engineer as well to get extra power. Run the ensign as a tactical, which is how I usually run my Narcine. This was before Chemosite was available. So now that Chemosite's available, you might want to use some extra tactical seats. That's why you'd run the lieutenant commander and just forget about the command seating. Even here, lieutenant engineer, only the lieutenant intel. It's so lacking in engineering seats that, I don't know, you might want to not use that intel seat. It's a choice. Personally, I probably run emergency power to weapons 1 twice on the lieutenant engineer and the ensign, universal as an engineer, and run OSS 1, I believe. No, it's OSS 2 on the lieutenant seat, and run a tactical in the lieutenant commander seat, having the double FA 3 or FA 1 torp spread, whatever you want. Of course, 2 hangar bays with the Herald fighters, can equip dual cannons. I don't know if you want to actually run dual cannons on a ship that's this bulky. And of course it has the same mastery package that the Narcine and the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought carrier carry as well. Overall, it's I do not believe it is that insane of a DPS ship that some people are claiming. I think it's pretty much a little bit over what the Narcine can do, just because the intel seat is there and it's got the extra science seat. So maybe 10% to 15% max over what the Narcine can get itself. The pets are really decent. I'm still haven't quite seen a lot of numbers on the pets themselves to give a final verdict, and I'm talking about the frigate pets, the Baltums. So it's still up in the air. I don't believe it should cost as much as people are asking for right now, but I do believe that the prices will go down eventually, because this is not a promotion ship, it is actually a lockbox ship.
Yeah, the prices are a little insane for it right now.
What are they asking for? 600 or something like that?
650 to 700.
Interesting. But I can say this, as far as for those who are looking for a side torp boat, if you can handle it more like a siege ship with pets, this is right up your alley. Between the science consoles, the TAC, the commander tactical, and then your universal lieutenant commander with command on it, yeah, you have the best of both worlds right there. You could easily make a decent side torp boat out of this thing. Stand off at range, let your pets go in, and you just grab well, throw up APO, concentrate firepower, unleash hell, and just watch everything blow up from afar. It's pretty damn nice as far as a long-range siege ship is concerned. And between the science consoles and attack consoles, you'd be hard-pressed to find a ship with this type of seating, with this type of console layout, that would give you that side torp feel to it. So I say this would probably be a well sought after ship if you're looking for siege style of play. Going in with this, let's look at the Starship trait itself, because I have not. Well, actually, the console and then the trait itself. Has anybody played with the console yet?
Negative. I did see it's if you buff up the radiation damage, that console specifically, the toggleable buildy will deal radiation damage, and someone linked in chat earlier a max one hit they got with it of like 100k.
Interesting enough. So multi-conduit slapped on with this thing to boost radiation damage.
Yeah.
Two-piece Delta Ordnance set to boost radiation damage. Already you got a side torp boat in the making.
It's right up your alley, Owen.
I guess so. I mean, hey, look, the console also provides a boost to exotic damage. So where can you go wrong with this, people? Where can you go wrong? It's like they sat down and said, let's design a really OP side torp boat. Let's slap on a console and help it out with it too. Good. Let's take a look at the Starship trait, though. Let me see here. We got a peak efficiency. I cannot talk. While the Starship trait is slotted, every few seconds, all your recharging bridge officer abilities will have their remaining recharge times reduced by a small amount if your hull strength is at or above 80%.
So it's 7.5%, and I believe it's every 5 seconds. This trait is great if you're a tank, but for most people, it's just not going to do anything for them.
I mean, even for a tank, I've seen some of them run pretty low on hull, and just in the matter of doing content, it's not normal that I see a good tank above 80%, unless I'm spamming them with heals, and then it's harder to triage.
It's every 5 seconds, though. 7.5% every 5 seconds. It's not going to be good for the really low-end skills. I'm sorry, I don't mean low-end skills, but the skills that have a cooldown.
Low cooldown.
Like 30 seconds or less, even 45 seconds, it's going to be a little bit iffy.
But maybe for RSP or something, it would be pretty decent.
Yeah, skills that have like a minute cooldown or something like that, which is, I think, a lot of the science skills have these really long cooldowns, so that might help in that regard. And you have all hands on deck, which is 10% every 5 seconds, so it's a little bit of a double dip there. I think it'll be more efficient for the science skills than any of the tactical skills.
Yep. However, it doesn't really suit itself to something like reciprocity and peak efficiency on the same boat. I don't think that's a good idea at all.
If you're playing standoff, sit back and then do some damage that way, reciprocity is not going to be on your slot. For people who don't have all hands on deck,
Right.
peak efficiency is it for you.
Yeah, I agree. You do not want to be running a ship where you have reciprocity and peak efficiency, because, well, actually, no, that's actually a decent idea. You have reciprocity for when you are taking damage, and when you're not taking damage and healed up, peak efficiency takes in, because that's the flaw of reciprocity if you're not taking damage.
Could be, but I mean, basically, if you've got a reciprocity-based build, you've built it to attract that aggro and to proc reciprocity.
That's true. So it might be this trait might
It would have to
actually
be
good.
some type of new... It might not be a bad trait to mix with reciprocity, but it would have to be some new type of build, something experimental.
Yeah, I was thinking something along the lines of someone like myself who has some issues flying with tanks who break my reciprocity build, so I have to make certain builds to fly with them. This might be an interesting trait. Everyone
funny.
else, it's not that spectacular of a trait. It's not a must-have trait. It's not a trait that's worth 650 mil, 700 mil.
I think that's the salient thing to consider, is that it comes wrapped in a ship that's 650 mil plus right now. So, right, it's a great trait, but the vast majority of players will not have access to it,
some of the early buyers of the ship, they'll spend like 600, 700 mil on it, and these people are rich. They have billions of EC,
Sure.
and
Whales.
and they decide, well, you know what? I spent 700 mil on this ship. I am going to keep its price at 700 mil just to, defend the amount of money I spent on it, which is what quite a few people did with the Anoraks, which is why its price was so spectacular. I just really hope they don't do it with this ship, because for one, they're going to get burnt, because this is a ship that's going to be available for 3 months, as opposed to the Anoraks, which was a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more people buy keys and open boxes than they do promotions. Significantly
Absolutely.
But
more.
not even just that. The box will come back every time they do a last chance lockbox event. People, of course, stockpile them. So it's not something that's going to go away after the first 3 months. It's going to be available technically from here on out. So the price
the potential of being much more available than the Anoraks.
A lot more available. That's long term. It should see a drop in price just because its availability is still there.
Agreed.
Whew. Now we have to figure out which ship is right for which person out there, because all three of these offerings here have their very, very strong points. And I'm actually tempted between the Vamp and the Baltum. It's like, which one? 16 ounces of gold or a pound of gold? Or sorry, in metric, we're looking at 1,000 cubic centimeters or a kilogram.
Yeah, but again, as was said, the price, the potential price of the Vamp is something to consider. Baltham is a lot easier to get.
True, very true.
All right, well, let me jump in here, because you know me, I fly a lot of different ships. I can compare the ships really well. The only one that's really unique among the three ships is the Baltum Heavy Raider. That's the only unique, because it is a Raider. It's got a very specific style. The only ships that actually come close to it would be the Manassa. The Manassa, I think it might actually be on par with it, and you have the pilot ships as well. So you have that going for it. The Quas, you can probably get an Atlas, the Zindi Primate Dreadnought, and I believe those two ships should be on par. I might actually give the edge directly to the Atlas itself, the Dreadnought, over the flight deck cruiser, just because I haven't seen the numbers on the pets themselves. The reason I would give that is because it is a dreadnought. It does have the weapon efficiency. It is faster. It does turn a little bit better, and it can fit the Zindi pets as well, which are really nice on top of that. For the Vamp itself, again, you have the Narcine, which is a fantastic ship with great frigates, and then you have the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought carrier, which is also a fantastic ship with great pets. There's not going to be a lot of difference between them. So, you know what? If you can't afford the Vamp, get the Narcine. You're not going to have any problems with that. Heck, you can get a Shishar for probably half the price of this ship and still perform like pretty much on par with this.
For those who are still wondering about the set bonuses with the three consoles, and yes, there are people who run three consoles for whenever they have ships like this. The three offerings. Yes.
That EC.
So I
Go
can
on.
give the exact numbers here.
Thank
The
you.
two-piece is plus 12.5% crit severity and plus 33% flight turn rate.
Yes.
Now the three-piece, the Solar Flare Gateway, has a 2-minute cooldown, and for 15 seconds it creates a solar gateway behind your target, which deals, it looks like around 2.5 to 3k radiation damage with 100% shield pen every half second for 15 seconds. So that can get pretty nasty.
30 pulses at what, 2.5 to 3K a piece?
Yeah, and this is on a tune that's not got
Good
radiation buffed.
grief. So that's like what, 90 to 100K right there. Oh, the power creep. Oh, it's, I don't know, man. I'm still smacking my head against this thing. It's like this is crazy how much power creep's being flushed down right now. And we haven't even got to the torpedoes yet because I'm still analyzing that fun stuff.
Again, that rep is going to make you real happy.
And it's also buffed by particle gens.
Ah, yes. P-gens and radiation boost, I'm assuming?
Appears so.
Alright. Obviously, you have your fighter flavors here, so you get your pick. Beam overload is the nice big one here. Unfortunately, the pets do not trigger any of the beam overload traits, if I remember correctly, which kind of sucks. But you got pets that do all this sort of craziness. Alright. You know what? I might have to get one just because. Just because. Oh, this is craziness. Anyway, so overall thoughts for those people who are flying them. Typically, it's get them while it's hot.
I'd say get the Baltim safe to get now. For the Quas, wait a few weeks. It's like 150, 160 mil. It'll drop down. And the Vamp, wait a few weeks for that and hope it goes under 500.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe a fair price for the Vamp is in the probably 300 mil range, 250 to maximum 350 range. That is considering its performance and its availability, disregarding any actual market manipulation. 250 to 350, that would be a fair price for the Vamp.
Agreed.
All right, we're going to switch gears here real quick. I'm going to jump around a bit. The new queues and the old queues. I mean, I get it that, you know, Cryptic wants to add new queues into the system, and we love it for new queues, especially when it gives us some sort of new mechanic or new interest in things that we have to blow up or things that we have to slice apart. But removing old queues, especially queues that actually were fun.
So sad about that.
Even Terradome, right?
Why the breach? Why Mine Trap?
Those were actually two really fun queues, and for some reason they have a reason, they just didn't tell us. Those were removed. I mean, the breach was, its fun level was set at amazing, at least for me.
I enjoyed the hell out of it too. I mean, the biggest thing, and some people were saying it, especially in my fleet, was that the rewards stank. But for people who like a challenge and like something different, yeah, I enjoyed doing the breach. It was great.
I mean, they could have increased their rewards, but it's, especially when you're running with a group of friends, the amount of fun and just wrecking havoc on that starship that you were having kind of negated it, because you were doing it more for, I can't believe I'm saying it, the immersion and you just having fun with your buddies. Like, that was the main reasons for doing that queue.
It was nice. It was, the eyes were very much pleased when looking at everything that was happening within the breach, and especially in different segments. It was, the gameplay of it was nice. Why really? Anyway, I'm temporarily done whining about it. So now that we have Counterpoint released, and now that we have, what was the other ground one? I'm sorry, I need to get my boots dirty, so forgive me. We have Counterpoint. What's the ground one?
Assault on Terranor.
Yes, Terranor. Thoughts?
They're fun queues. It's just the issue you've seen everywhere is just really the marks, but they're fun queues to do.
Yeah, Counterpoint is a fun queue to do. I've yet to do Assault on Terranor myself, but Counterpoint is very fun.
It is, but I mean, when you're trying to do everything nice and you hit everything on point, what's up with 60 to 80 marks on the bonus? Really? I mean, I could start seeing people like, why is it so little on the rewards for when you do so well on it?
Yeah, that needs to get fixed.
From what
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
tell, I've done a few different levels of counterpoint since it was released. Did a couple of elites, a couple of advanced. I haven't done the normal yet, so I don't really have a huge sample size to actually determine this. But it seems to me that they all reward the same amount of marks, and you get 5 marks per optional that you have. Now the advanced does have a couple of the objectives which are not optional, they're mandatory, so it'll get those 5 marks automatically. Elite, same thing, there's the options from before are mandatory plus a couple of extra. But what I'm seeing is for the advanced, I've gotten 35 marks, 40 marks, 45 marks. For the elite, I'm getting 40 marks, 45 marks, 50 marks. So a difference of 5 marks between the elite and the advanced just absolutely blows my mind. I don't understand that at all. It's I don't know how to put this, but it's for the amount of time people put into this, especially to run the elite queues. It is a little bit frustrating. I know we're going to be talking about this a little bit later. The queue itself is a lot of fun. It's very puggable. The advanced is very puggable, and I've noticed, strangely enough, hold on to your seats, pugs using teamwork.
Holy God, you're lying.
I know, right? Really? No.
Well, are you sure that you didn't just see a pug where it was like 4 members of a fleet and 1 random?
you surely jest.
No.
I think
Yeah, I
I've got
have
an
trouble.
immersion overload.
I might be getting the vapors over this. I don't know.
No, I mean, like during the second phase when the portals are out, I would approach a portal, I'd open up with Thaw, attacking, and this pug, instead of attacking like you would normally expect a pug to do, he would sneak in under me and go straight for the portal. What the heck is going on? Where did this teamwork thing in pugs come from? Am I in a mirror universe? Wait.
Yes.
You could be. I mean, season 11.
A mirror universe full of unicorns.
The rest of it doesn't really require that much of a teamwork. The very last phase is a DPS check. You need a lot of DPS for it, especially on Elite. Although they do use feedback pulse, so you better watch out on that. It's a bit of a problem. There are some issues with the Elite. I believe Spencer and I did notice on the third phase where you're transporting assault teams from DS9 to Terraknor, it doesn't always acknowledge that you've transported the assault team over.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying.
And I'm not sure why it does that. A couple of theories have come up, but they don't really hold up to scrutiny, so I think it might be bugged. There might be something there. I haven't seen that problem in advance. It seems to be unique to the Elite. I'm thinking that there might be a limited window, a time when you can actually transport it, which isn't shown on screen or in the optionals on the side.
Good to know. Thanks for the tip on that one. What else we can actually expect out of our new Battlezone, Badlands?
I played that for a while last night.
Well, I can tell you one thing you can expect. Admiralty to pop up about every 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually become one of the more irritating things about the queue. That it happens so often and it interrupts you entirely. It's not one of those little zone-wide announcements that's off on the side. It literally switches to a video, a very brief video where she just says she's Admiral Lee of the ISS Enterprise, and then it goes away. And it does it near constantly. I hope it gets fixed. It's almost like curling.
That's weird because I did 2 full battle zones yesterday, and that did not happen once to me.
It can be worse than Curland because if you're in a bad position, say next to a ship that's about to breach and that pops up, you'll come up to a flaming wreckage of your own ship.
Yeah, that's not going to be pretty. I'm going to be trying this thing over the weekend anyway, so I will get my first taste of it. So, anything do you want to let a newbie like myself know what to do, what not to do, what to avoid, and how many marks am I going to get out of this?
Oh boy, okay. The Battlezone itself, I absolutely love it. I loved it when it was on Tribble, despite some of the issues it had there. I love it here. I was a big fan of the old Space Battlezone in the Sphere, the Undyne Battlezone. This is very similar, and I must say it is not a copy-paste. I know people have said that it's just a copy-paste, they copied it over and changed some of the skins. No, it is not. There are some things you have to do differently. Some things are similar, but they are a bit different. Like, for example, the Federation zone in the old battle zone, you had this yo-yo. You had to stay within the yo-yo for it to count up. Here you have, for example, a space station that's orbiting, or a satellite that's orbiting. You have to stay within 3 kilometers of the station as it's orbiting. And you have these Terran nebula ships with feedback pulse and this insane tractor beam repulsors that can push you to about 15 kilometers away, trying to push you away from the satellite. So it is a little bit annoying, and when I talked to someone about it on the dev team, I mentioned, I asked them, are you sure this tractor beam repulsor isn't a little bit too overpowered? They giggled. So yeah, it is a little bit of fun. The problem I have with it is under rewarding significantly. I believe that some of that might be fixed with tomorrow's patch.
Yeah.
I believe they're looking at a rebalance on it. It's definitely under rewarding.
Like significantly under rewarding.
Yeah, not a bug. It's just a rebalance that needs to be performed.
I've soloed certain capture points, captured like points solo by myself without any help, and gotten the tier 1 reward out of that, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, I did 100% participation on this thing. Why am I getting the lowest reward? So hopefully they fix that. I don't know if the full fix is coming out tomorrow. There's a minor tweak that popped up in the patch notes. So it might take a while for that to get fixed. I believe the original battle zones also took them a while to actually balance them out and normalize the rewards. So be patient. It is a lot of fun though. I do recommend you turn your graphics setting down though, because all that's happening on the screen is going to tax your system quite a bit.
Thank you very much for the heads up on that one, what to expect, and yeah, I'll definitely be tapping you and everybody else out there come this weekend to see what to avoid as far as bugs are concerned and what needs to be done. Although it should be self-explanatory when you go in there, right?
Yes, it is self-explanatory. You can get it out. You can pick it up just by flying in and just looking around, and you'll understand it. There is a voiceover that will tell you what to do, and there's also a little button on the side that you can click, and it will give you like the rundown of stuff. There's more than enough information within the thing itself to figure it out. And if you've done the old Undyne Space Zone, you're already 75% of the way there.
Yeah, really easy to pick up and figure out.
All right, moving along. Who wants to handle this one? Because this one's too hot for me to even touch. All I know is somebody said something in Reddit chat, and then...
Not touching it.
Not touching this one.
Not it.
Not it.
I'll take it.
Don't know what to really say about this.
I'll take it. Well, I'll help take it with Alan.
Well,
thanks for saying something too. I guess so. I can come out right out and say that we all make mistakes. You know, that's something fair to say. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all say things we don't mean to say, and the sometimes our tone and other things are not really what we mean to say. And it looks like Bort had said something the other day in Reddit chat. I want to be specific here and say he didn't say it with his dev tag on. No purple text. He was just saying it. And he said some things that really upset part of the player base. I think he got some feedback regarding that, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Alan?
He must have if it prompted him to do an apology.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to comment on this too much.
No, I don't want to blow this into some drama bomb because it really shouldn't be one.
And we know how ruthless players can be when it comes down to criticism, and we don't know what the other side of the coin was in this that prompted this. Like, we don't know how nasty folks got in the Reddit chat in the game.
Yeah.
So
we also have to consider, release day. Again, I used to work in software, and release day was always really high-strung, full of emotion, full of people snapping at each other and things like that. So, he probably got snapped at a few times, and it's not that hard to carry that towards the players and frustration. It sucks. But again, it goes back to what I said originally. We're all human. I can forgive Bort, especially since he was, he posted. Mea culpa.
We can we'll put the link to the whole Reddit thread that's going on. Last I checked, it was well over 200.
Yep.
To be fair, I've talked to Bort a few times over the whiles, and there are times where he's come out and told me, if you're frustrated by something in this game, go play something else, which is fair enough. It's absolutely true. So this is how Bort is. He does get a little bit defensive, and I absolutely do not blame him. He has every right to be. Especially with the temperament and some of the vitriol that can come out from the player base.
See, I kind of have like an agree and disagree at the same time. Like, yeah, he might not have been logged on to his Div account. I understand that we're human. Things can get really heated in that. But with Borkus, I kind of just notice in posting, and again, this is text. Text is really easy to take out of context.
Yep, hard to read tone.
Yeah.
Tone is huge. Body language, there's none of it,
Yeah, and a lot of the tone that I pick up from whenever he is posting is either a little bit abrasive. I could be wrong. Again, that's
I don't disagree, Alan.
And like Sarcasm said, defensive. So I'm not surprised to see him say stuff like that. I'd be really surprised to see that like out of somebody like Zero or Taco, because I know Taco does a lot of work, and I know he gets a lot of criticism for stuff that he's done.
And
I've never really seen him lash out, because I think he knows how to kind of step back and to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna put my hands up, walk away. Haters gonna hate. I'm gonna go sip my haterade over here, and then I'm gonna come back.
It's a different way that he deals with criticism. If you see, he's able to articulate some of the things that really make him upset. Like the other day in a thread, in fact, in the Bort thread, he was posting about how he gets crap for let's say X content, and he had almost nothing to do with X content. Let's say people aren't even correctly attributing source before getting angry, and that's got to frustrate people as well on that side.
Let me just say, I believe this has been blown out of proportion.
No, yeah.
It has been blown out of proportion, because, let's face it, Bort has, I won't say gone after us here on the show, but he has kind of slapped us on the wrist a couple of times probably more than a couple of times, for things that we've said on the show.
Yep.
And some stuff he's actually directed directly towards me. And you don't see us making a big deal over what he said to us. We could, but we don't, because we
It's
don't
important
care.
not to take it personally.
Exactly. We don't take it personally, even though, at one point I think he said something to me in the effects that what you said was wrong and it hits your credibility. Well, okay, all right, I was wrong. Thank you for pointing out that information. He did give some really good information in regards to that, and I
But the credibility part, I think, was his opinion. You know.
pretty
Yeah,
much, he was trying to make a point on that, and I don't think, if I got one thing wrong, I don't think it's going to affect my credibility. I have enough sources, so it's not that big of an issue. The thing is, it isn't a big deal, so let's not talk too much about this. I want to actually talk about the source of this issue, which is the under rewarding queues that we have. Now, I think the issue that board had was that they put so much work into this. People have spent so many hours making something really good, and I'll agree with that. Some of these queues, the queues Counterpoint, Assault on Terranor, heck, even the Admiralty system, the battle zones, are fantastic. They look great. They play great. We haven't seen queues like this in a while since the Breach was released. Oh, you just reminded me. But in that regards, the only thing people are complaining about is the lack of rewards, or the bad rewards. And you can look at it in another way, is that people have nothing to complain about except the rewards. And the thing is, we players have been talking about the rewards, or the under-rewarding from queues, since Delta Rising, and probably even before then. I know I've talked about it a lot, in that what we've been seeing is, Cryptic giving us a longer and longer stick, and at the same time giving us a smaller carrot. You don't do that. You don't do that in a game and want to keep your players. One of the things I predicted very early on was that the reason why the queues are so empty isn't because that they're too difficult for most players, or the failed objectives are there, but the rewards are not there. They don't give enough dilithium. They don't give enough marks. They took away the actual item. Remember, we used to get a purple quality item when we finished a queue? They took that away. You don't get experience. They've since added experience to the queues, which helps a little bit, but you still feel something missing. And heck, it's gotten worse. So this past while, they removed the fail objectives from the advanced queues, right? And they've made it so that the reward is basically the same as normal, but you get a little bit extra if you do the optionals. So there are some queues that the advanced actually rewards less marks than the normal. Azure Nebula, for example, because people are so bad at it, people are such bad players, they can't, actually get, both optionals, or even just one optional in the thing. It ends up rewarding less than the normal. There are other queues like that. And they said that when they did this change, that they weren't going to, touch the elite queues. The reward system for the elite queues are going to be the same. Well, look what happened to Vault Ensnared and Viscous Cycle and some of the other elite queues. They now reward 15 marks, 15 to 20 marks, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I thought that was a bug the first summer in VC.
It probably is a bug, but it goes to show that they didn't test it, or they're not capable of testing it, and it's been sitting a while. We've told them about it for a while, and they haven't done anything about it.
I can understand that they want to make the queues replay, they want them to be replayed, but yeah, I don't know if their math is just really off on this and they're still trying to figure it out, or if it's a bug that this is why it's being paid out so low. But I don't know. When you're doing an elite queue, and then if you don't have your daily bonus anymore and you're only getting like 45, 50 marks, it's kind of just like, oh my God, I did all that. My fingers hurt, and that's all I got. Like, it's, I don't know. I hope they fix it soon.
I
Yeah,
remember, sorry, let me just say one more thing. I remember I did a Breach Advanced a few weeks ago, maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, and we got 70, I think we got 80 marks, between 70 and 80 marks. My memory's a bit fuzzy for that, on Advanced. A couple of days ago, we did Breach Elite, just for the last time, a farewell, and we got 50 marks for it. So here's the thing, why is the elite rewarding less than the advanced? What's the deal? Sorry, go ahead, Timber.
Well, no, I was going to bring up a point that was made in chat, but one of our regulars is, I mean, the number one reason for rewards, you can run ISA in such a short amount of time versus Breach, which was a longer queue, and that's what some people have been looking at, is if you're going to take longer to do the queue, you should have a higher reward, and it's basically return on investment, and that's what some of our viewers right now are bringing up. You got to have a better return on investment. If you're going to spend 30 minutes in a queue, especially if it's going to be an elite queue, there needs to be a considerable reward increase for that time spent and the difficulty spent.
Agreed. Speaking about return on investment, the ROI, there's not just the time you spent in the queue itself. There's also the time spent getting to a level of performance that you can actually jump into the elite queues and be productive. It's not like you hit level 60 and whoop, you can jump into an elite queue. Well, actually you can. It's not like you can get to level 60 straight away and jump into a elite queue and be productive, actually contribute. That's not going to happen. It takes a long time. Some of these queues require a significant amount of DPS or just general game knowledge, such as HSE or Gateway to Grethor Elite. Some of the others are fairly tough as well. Even VCE, which is not really DPS oriented for the most part, still requires a little bit, or actually quite a bit, of game knowledge. You have to know how to play. And this is not something you get right away. This is something that can take, anywhere from 3 months if you're really, really good and are lucky and have people helping you out, to 6 months to a year. So I would say if someone new started the game today, in order for him to be really helpful in an elite queue, it's going to take him about 6 months to get there. And that is also time invested in the game. So you have to reward that as well. You have to have better rewards. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I think we got the clear meaning off of that there. I mean, and we definitely don't want to see good queues start being deleted or removed.
Retired.
Just because retired, yes. Oh, sorry, we can't play him anymore. We're upset
Again,
about it.
I would have liked to have played Terradome with a team that I could gather today.
True.
Would've been
Seriously.
nice.
And then we have queues like No Win Scenario where people are like, yeah, bring that back. And then,
Oh, I would love to see NWS come back. Kubla Khan,
Hashtag
I know you
bring
would
back.
too.
Yeah.
so
Kubla Khan is the #1 champion of NWS, so this is a shout out to you.
we got people who give him runs for his money too. But yeah, good shout out for you, buddy. But let's not see this happen again, please, because we don't want to see these good queues going away. The work that was put into them, the amount of, hey, let's make this thing fun for people, was there.
Yep, and it's kind of funny, a game as old as STO has nostalgia now. You know, we can look back to things that happened right after launch or first and second season and think back to how different it was, like how different the skill tree was back then and things like that. Those types of things hit me with nostalgia, and it's kind of sad to see some of the nostalgic things, some of the early content go away. I know they're remastering a lot of stuff. The new stuff Jadova's been working on is fantastic. I've been playing through the Cardassian arc and I love it. But maybe it'd be nice to do some special event where we get to play the old content. Something like that could be cool.
If they bring back No Win Scenario, I will totally make a trailer for it.
Oh, listen to that, guys.
Come on, bring it up.
Pure temptation.
Do
And
it.
also, I'd like to say something nice about Snipey's Ships of the Line video.
Oh yeah.
True.
That was fantastically done. I recommend that you guys check it out. If you have not, we'll try to get a link out to the folks that haven't seen it.
We'll put a link out there in the show notes later on.
Yep.
Speaking of videos,
Big week
speaking
of
of
videos.
yes, we have two good ones here. We'll let our hologram go first, and then we will come back over to.
They
our
prefer the
videos at
term
end.
platonic person, dude.
He's an angry New Yorker. Actually,
Not
really
bad.
quick before we go into the videos, I just want to give a shout out to Salami, the executive producer for at Cryptic for STO.
Mr. Steve Ricasa himself.
Yeah, just really quick, somebody had posted up on Reddit last week asking about how you get an EMH Mark 1 bridge officer, and funny enough, this is coming from the emergency role-playing hologram. And if you didn't know, that bridge officer was actually a prize that you got for attending Star Trek Las Vegas convention. And I guess Salami was on browsing Reddit and saw it and started PMing codes to people, giving them the bridge officer, which I have because people in my fleet got me the code. And it comes with hazard emitters 2 and 3.
And PO3 as well, I believe.
Yes, yeah, photonic officer 3 or 2, I can't remember, but really good duty officer, or sorry, bridge officer. So I did a count, and he had PM'd about 15 codes out to people that I know of.
Yep, the thread blew up, and you have to understand that he can't give codes to everybody.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely,
really nice to
but-
do what he did.
Yeah, shout out to our executive producer, Mr.
Thank you,
Salami.
Salami. That ruled hard, man.
That seemed to be a little bit of a nice positive boost for the community. And
Yeah, compare and
Mr. Winchester.
contrast to some of the other releases and some of the other things that's happened. This is just really nice.
I missed this. Gosh, nabbit, I required a hologram to scrub my plasma conduits, and I missed out.
Photon, hey, bro,
Oh.
photons be free.
Look, man, that's just wrong. Really, seriously, slavery ended a long time ago.
Just
Photons
go
are
here.
people too.
just go to your kitty litter box and lick yourself until you're...
Oof. So anyway, go to the
Yeah.
video. Let's get to the video. Let's get
which
to
one
the
do you
video?
want to start with?
Your video. Your last release. Your latest release.
Oh, what was it?
As well.
Oh, that's right. So I did a little
Mhm.
poll on Twitter and on the Facebook group, the unofficial Star Trek Online Facebook group, and I asked a question if there was a trailer, what mission you'd like to see, and it was a pretty positive for Boldly Lay Road. So I did a trailer for Boldly Lay Road and released that there on Monday. People seem to like that. But the other big video, bigger one, was Mr. Sarcasm. He had a very interesting interview there last week. Cam, what do you got to say about that one?
All right, well, we do this pretty regularly on the show itself, where we do fleet interviews. We invite certain fleet leaders onto the show, or it doesn't have to be fleet leaders, members of the community, and we interview them. Sometimes it so happens that we're not able to do the interview on the show itself, so one of the members will do the interview independently, like Timber, for example, did a interview with Loot Critter. Shout out to him, he's actually listening right now. And before I continue, I just want to point out that his giveaway is happening
Yes.
this Friday on the 30th. And if you don't know what this giveaway is about, then shame on you. You haven't been listening to the show. You haven't been paying attention to his blog. He has been releasing about 5 different articles, which is an interview with
Thomas the Cat.
thank you, Thomas the Cat. And he's been entering people into the giveaway for the past 4 or 5 weeks, and it's happening on the 30th, this Friday. So
Yep.
looking forward to that. There's going to be anoraxes and lots of goodies given away. But anyways, to continue, we do interviews independently, and I had the opportunity to do an interview with 2 members of Starfleet Dental, which happened to be Nabriki and Butts, 2 of the leadership from those fleets. If you're unaware of who these guys are, wow.
You should probably play Star Trek Online a lot more.
Well, yeah. Still.
So yeah, I managed to do the interview. It was a little bit off the cuff. I did have a list of questions prepared for them, and Nabriki looked at them ahead of time. Butts decided he was gonna go in a little bit blind and just handle things as they came. It was a pretty interesting interview. I actually learned quite a bit myself about some of the stuff that was going on with them. The interview is a little bit long. It's about an hour and 46 minutes on my channel. I might be splitting it up in the near future. It takes a little bit of time to actually edit it, and takes basically locks up my computer for quite a bit, so I may or may not do that. I believe there is an audio version that is on the show's podcast site. I'm not sure how Odin set that up, or if that is set up or not yet, but we will get to that. That will be set up.
Mm-hmm.
And we will provide the links to the interview on the show notes when this show gets released. Anything you guys want to know?
I listened to that at work, and I was thoroughly impressed. I was so impressed that I had to call you through BlackBerry Messenger to talk to you about it. But good on you for doing that one. Like I had told you, I was like, you know what? It'd be really interesting to kind of sit down and talk with the dental folks and just kind of see how their brain works with things and what their thoughts are and behind what they do. And there was a lot of things that I would be very agree to disagree. But there was a couple other things that I did not know. I'm not going to spoil it. People need to really listen to this interview. It was really good. But good on you, mate, for doing that. Like that was a really good interview. Like, wow.
I tried to be neutral when talking to them, and I think I mostly succeeded. The point is to show that, you know, these guys are not monsters, or they're not fully as the negative propaganda. I mean, because there's a lot of negative propaganda about them anywhere you go into the game. I mean, you go anywhere in the game and you ask the random person, what's up with Starfleet Dental? Be prepared to sit down and listen to a rant for a while. So I decided, you know what, let's find out about these guys. Let them tell their side of the story. Now, whether they're being sincere or not, that is up to you as the listener, as the viewer. You are the ones who can judge that. I tried to be as neutral as possible. There were a couple of things that I really agreed with, such as what happened on Vulcan during Nimoy's memorial. I particularly agreed with them. I didn't like how certain members of the community were taking this or treating this. Also, I did get a little bit of information, side information. During the interview, we talked about a certain predator. I'm not going to spoil too much about it. Who was in a way, stalking some of the younger players in the game. And they talked about this situation. Later on, the next day, I was talking to someone else who described to me the situation from the other side. Basically saying, yep, I know exactly who they're talking about. This person was in this fleet. I know exactly what happened, and it's true. This is what happened. What they said was absolutely true. Such and such happened, and then they came to us and they told us this, and the guy was out of the fleet. So, in that regards, yeah, they're being pretty honest about that.
I have yet to finish the entire episode there, but the interview. But from what little I have heard, there's been a couple of funny shenanigans going on with that, and I look forward to finishing the whole thing up. And that will be up on the show site, which, yes, will be worked on as soon as I'm doing all these other projects. So it'll actually be beautiful and looking and all that other fun stuff. But you'll be able to download the podcasts for Sarcasm's interview with Starfleet Dental, as well as every episode of the show.
Just want to point out that this one video got more views in its first day than all my past videos for the past 6 months ever did.
Yeah, that video blew up, dude. That was, jeez.
So it's not quite my best video with the highest views. It's just like when it first came out, it just jumped a lot. So this tells me that there are a lot of people out there who are willing to listen to the other side and not just make judgments based off of the negative propaganda that is completely flowing. And you know what?
Which was evident in the comments. You interviewed Dental? I just unscribed. What?
Yeah.
That did happen a few times.
Oh my! You actually you lost 3 subscribers on your channel after you had posted that up, and you've actually rebounded, and now you're in
Way ahead.
the positive.
Yeah. So yeah, when I looked at it, I went like in the minutes after I lost 3 subscribers. A few minutes after that, I had gained another 3. So it didn't last that long. What was really surprising was that I posted it in a few different places. The post on the forums was very
Civil.
It's this mirror universe thing. I don't understand what's going on.
Reddit? Yeah, you posted on Reddit, and Reddit was what I was expecting out of the Stowe forums.
Now, let's be honest, most of the comments on Reddit were pretty decent. There were some people who had constructive criticism, or they were criticizing, but they weren't actually being negative, which is fine. People are allowed to do that. There were mainly 2 people that I had issues with on Reddit. The first person was the one who was like, I refuse to even listen to this, and I'm just gonna spew hate. And I'm surprised he didn't get muted on Reddit or kicked, because that guy was just a nutcake. The other person was someone who chided me for the comments about what happened on Vulcan. And basically he said that Nimoy was Spock and Spock is Nimoy. Which is, if you know anything about show business, that is the most horrible thing you can say about or to an actor. You do not tell an actor, or you do not say something about an actor that he is the character that he is playing. That is just insulting and offensive, and nothing ever good has come out of this. Ever. Just to give an example, Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton. Those of you listening right now, do you guys know why Will Wheaton quit working in The Next Generation? It's because he got harassed, he got bullied for being Wesley Crusher. Which is just, mind-boggling. What a character is is something that is a figment of the imagination. And it is something that is created by the writers and directed or polished by the director. And you have so many people working to make this character. And the actor is only the person that is getting into the character. He isn't the character, he's just showing you the character. There's a lot more to it. Yeah, exactly, Delta Elites, because he was Wesley. People could not differentiate reality from fiction. They could not disassociate the actor from the character, which is absolutely horrible. It's really, really bad. And one of the things that was that Nimoy wanted, one of his legacies that he wanted to make sure people knew him for, was his photography. At the very end, he wanted to be known for his photography, and he was actually, in the photography world, pretty famous for some of the work he's done. And pardon me a second, I just have to do something with this cat.
He's got to cough up a hairball, folks.
I don't know, I think he's getting more gravel too, but
Could be more gravel.
I like the hairball option, actually.
Feline aggro, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it's my rant. I feel strongly about this because in my youth I did play as an actor. On stage, on TV, I did a couple of films here and there. This was a long time ago when I was way, way younger. And sometimes even us actors have a difficult time disassociating with a character that we've played for a while. And it's actually a little bit traumatic. Not a little bit, it is a lot of trauma trying to separate yourself from this character. And it does leave some mental and emotional scars that can take a little bit of time to heal. There are actors who have gone a little batshit crazy because, this is what acting is. You have to make yourself temporarily crazy in order to be a good actor. To get into the role, basically you're suppressing who you are, your real personality, the real you. You're suppressing that, and you're creating a fake personality and showing that. Of course, that fake personality is created by the writers, the directors, the producers, all of that stuff. But it's still, you're playing that role, and it can mess you up. You can have a hard time with it. So for someone to come out and say Nimoy is Spock, Spock is Nimoy, you know what? If I was there, no insult to the guy, I would have probably punched him in the face if he was in front of me and said that. Just saying.
we'll settle you down on that. Here, have some more gravel. Enjoy this. Because you are sarcasm detector, and sarcasm detector is low life cat. Really. Anyway, we'll leave that topic on the more sensitive side of the Screen Actors Guild and go on with it. What we need to do is push off the rest of these discussions, especially with some of the new featured episode, the rewards from them, what's coming up as far as the new reputation and the traits that you get from them, all that. We're going to discuss that and more on the next episode of the show. There's a bunch of people on here right now who want to get in game and blow something up. There are a bunch of people in here who want to get in game and hit the ground. But what we need to do is get in game and see what's out there. And hopefully that will come with the exploration in the future. So until then, we'll use our immersion imaginations and activate our own role-playing hologram. And we'll see you out there. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.